Hi, this is Beth Shirtliff, and this is my research proposal for EP 716, discovering a correlation between a targeted emotion dysregulation intervention system and adolescent maladaptive behaviors in school. A growing number of studies give evidence that emotion dysregulation serves as a mediator, a mediating role between several psychological conditions and maladaptive behaviors. The problem then lies in what we can do about that. If we know that we have a psychological condition on one side, that then we move through emotion regulation as a mediator and then over to maladaptive behaviors, then if we intervene at the emotion dysregulation moment in time, can we, and that is our question, can we then have an effect on the maladaptive behaviors? And so the goals for this research is to assess how targeted emotion regulation interventions correlate then with maladaptive behaviors in adolescents in a school setting. And there is our research question: how does a targeted emotion dysregulation intervention system correlate with maladaptive behaviors in adolescents in a public middle school setting? The context of this, to give it in a most abbreviated fashion, would be that this research would take place in a 7th and 8th grade middle school within my own school district. Within this school, students have a 1-to-1 Chromebook ratio that will allow them the access that they need to complete the daily wellness check, which is a very integral part of this intervention that will be implemented. There are 500 students within this school, and 7th and 8th grade, and aggregated data from both the surveys and discipline will be pulled from the total population. There will also be a sample of students and teachers that will be surveyed at the end of the intervention. The theoretical framework for this was very interesting to dig into. It really took me back about 20 years into the literature to find the beginning of really identifying emotion regulation. This is actually quite a new concept in the literature. Back in 2004 and 2005, it was noted in the literature, its newness and the novelty of it. In fact, an interesting a book, actually, a handbook on self-regulation that I discovered from 2005, Bookarts et al. They noted that they completely omitted the entire concept of mood regulation from this a large amount of literature that they implemented into their book, seeing it as less important than other topics. So that kind of gives you a framework, a foundational reference. Back then in 2004, Cole et al. Noted that it was rising in popularity, emotion regulation was, in the general psychological literature, but they noted that it was so vast in its name and meaning that they questioned whether it would persist and become a recognized scientific construct, or whether it would kind of shuffle off to the side. Well, a decade later, the literature is digging much more specifically into emotion regulation. Um, Duray et al. Highlighted most specifically that at this stage in 2016, that emotion regulation had established its place in the literature, and a lot of studies had been conducted up to this point, but in trying to gain its foothold, those studies had been very laboratory scientific in nature, with very strict limitations and controls. And with that in place, it had been established, and Duray et al. Promote a framework for ongoing study of emotion regulation by looking at three variables, three components: a person, situation, and strategy. and that they promote that researchers focus on those three elements and take them into the field for further study to really dig deeper into this at this stage. And it is that framework that they have established that I seek to utilize in this research, with fixed variables of person being the seventh and eighth grade students, and the situation being the school, and then that independent variable being the strategy interaction, which in this case is emotion regulation intervention. Data collected has already been discussed a little bit. That will consist of discipline information, the wellness check-in responses, as well as post-intervention surveys to students and a sample of students and teachers.